Hey, out there. Welcome to another episode of Family Finance Friday with DJ the Money Coach and Nick Westbrooks. And this show is brought to you by the DJ the Money Coach team and the Seven Spheres of Money system. And before we get started and head to tonight's beach, hit the like, share, and the subscribe and help us spread the message of the Pom Pom Lifestyle Movement, which is plenty of money, peace of mind. And we invite you to come join us on the beaches of the world. And tonight's beach is, yes, the end of spring break for DJ the Money Coach down there. It's not quite my spring break yet. You know, I still got a few more weeks until mine comes up here in the Northeast. But, you know, the closing out of spring break for DJ the Money Coach and friends, family, and social circles. You are what your network is. The topic for tonight. But before we get into that, DJ, tell me how you doing, man. How's spring break been going? Looks like you're not in the office tonight. You're out on the beaches of the world. How's it going over there?
Well, Nick, as I always say, any day above the ground with your health is a great day. And today is no exception to the rule. Today is an extraordinary great day. So I am excited. I am enjoying some fellowship, friendship of 3 decades. And man, it's amazing, man. It is amazing. Spring break will be over on Tuesday. So, the family has had a chance to, go and enjoyed some great time on the road. And as you can see, I'm on the road myself, kicking it back with my oldest best friend on the planet. And he's, allowing me to hang out with him and his family. And we just having a great time, man. And the one thing that come to understand is how important friendships are, how important family is, and how important your network is. And that's in direct correlation to your net worth. And rest and behold, there's a lot of things going on in the economy. We obviously know the main thing that's happening right now. There's a war that's been forced on another nation that really has nothing to do with us, regardless of what you may think, but it has nothing to do with us. But it does have something to do with us because that certain group of elitists are protecting a crude oil pipeline, etc. And as we are now seeing in our pockets, the cost of that immediate transgression, shall I say. So I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen, but where I reside at on a part-time basis, gas prices have gone up $1 whole since the last broadcast we had last week, and they are going up even further. Okay, as gas prices go up, what does that affect? That affects distribution channels, transportation. What does that directly affect for you? Food, energy, cost of labor, cost of supply chain, everything goes up. But my question is to you, has your income directly increased if you're not in that network, if you understand where I'm coming from? Because if you looked at the price of oil 10 days ago, oil was at $50 a barrel. It's now almost $100 a barrel. Who's winning from that? Conversely, if you look at the software industry that's being deeply impacted by the increase of AI eliminating jobs. I actually was just in correspondence with my son, RBD, and he literally texted me at, I don't know, about 7 p.m. last night. And at his company, they just fired 1,700 people. No notice, anything. And fortunately for him, he made the cut. I mean, listen to this. This is a company that's doing well, sends out a broadcast email and says 1,700 people will be terminated in the next 20 minutes. Now, imagine you moved across the country. Imagine you got a mortgage. Imagine you got kids in school and stuff like that. And imagine you're doing your job, working hard, and you get a 20-minute notification that your job no longer exists. When you think about that, you almost would think that couldn't happen in America. America is a capitalistic country. It's a corporation, ladies and gentlemen. So it's more important that you have family, friends, and your network is a direct correlation to your net worth, because those people who lost their jobs yesterday didn't see it coming. It was a blind side. However, those people in the inner circle knew it was going to happen. And those who have fostered, nurtured relationships, they were still standing. And those who didn't, they have relationships, as myself, maybe 5, 10, 20, 30 years, where you can literally pick up a phone and immediately get an introduction or a recommendation or a referral into another opportunity. But how do you do that if you don't know the power of surrounding yourself in the right network? Because your network is a direct correlation to your net worth. We don't teach this in college. We don't teach this in high school. We don't teach this in the elementary school system. However, it is very important and it is imperative, Nick, that as a man, you teach your family how to create relationships, invest in them, get roots deeply entrenched in order to solidify the foundation, in order to create a moat around your family stability, because you do not know when the axe may fall. And this is even more important, Nick, in reference to ownership, entrepreneurship, because these days happen. And in the corporate structure, when you have somebody that signs your check on the front and you're signing on the back, you have no control over your destiny, regardless if you're making that company millions of dollars in revenue, regardless if you're making hundreds of thousands of dollars. If you have the capacity to actually follow the rules of the game, the way America was created, and empowered yourself into ownership, you can control your destiny in situations like this. The family has to understand that there are roles significantly to play in order to build a dynasty, a legacy, and create a platform that can catapult you into multi-generational financial independence, that can in terms matriculate into multi-generational wealth. And that starts with the simple philosophy, Nick, of being debt-free. Surrounding yourself with people who have talents and skill sets that are different from yours, that you can bind together in order to mitigate these challenges that you cannot control in this current environment. Knowing the fact that sometimes when you invest in your friends for the right reasons, it can generally protect you in the future. So hedge your, losses. So in instance, I'm right here now, um, residing with a friend of 31 years. And we were just joking about his first home, how I went to his house and I helped him lay an entire kitchen floor that initially we thought would take about a couple of hours. Labor Day weekend time, we're laying a tile floor. We got a wet sand saw axe plumped in, and we're doing all that, but we're laying this stuff, and he was able to take that resurface, complete overhaul of his complete kitchen floor and take that home and elevate the value of it, that he was able to sell it for over retail price. But why am I saying that? Because fast forward, now I'm sitting here in a situation where my friend, like myself, totally independent, totally debt-free, totally paid for. So what you see in my back view is no debt on it. Free and clear. Brand spanking new. That's not a brag, but the reality is that laying that foundation, this investment into a friendship has afforded my son to be mentored by a person who happens to be a genius in the financial world and actually have spent multiple years in the same industry that my son is, and giving him guidance to navigate these shark waters where, guess what? My son did not know that his company was going to chop 1,700 heads, including people directly above him that been at the company far longer than he is. But my son was taught, Nick, the power of the 4 Ps. It first starts with professionalism. Okay, from a family standpoint, you as a man is responsible to teach your son about professionalism. And inside of professionalism, Nick, is what we don't talk about are these people skills to build relationships with people outside of your skill set. Because my son is it's not even a year out of college. So how is it that a kid who's not even a year out of college and he doesn't get chopped off at the job? You know why that is, Nick? Because not only is he's highly skilled, but he's highly skilled in the professional level of professional relationships, the soft skills. So my best friend said, hey man, he said, this happens. He said, know what happens? Because he's a CPA by profession. He has an engineering degree as well. And he's a 1% achiever in the Silicon Valley world, right? He said, so what I taught my nephew is that when these, surprise firings, or what they call, instead of calling them layoffs, they call them restructuring. He said they have a board with X's and O's and profitability, and they look up on the board and say, oh, this person here, he or she is a keeper because the value they add, Nick, because of their people skills. You hear what I'm saying? Because of his people skills at 21, even though he didn't know this was about to happen, he survived a massive downsizing that his superiors didn't survive, and people a part of his team that had been with the company 5-6 years and he's only been with the company for 1 year. And this is not a brag. This is, hey man, he was fortunate enough to be raised in a right, proper family environment that he was taught by his dad, by his uncle, people skills. And those people skills, Nick, got him out early into the game at 14, 15 years of age. He was getting into the internship part of his profession in advance. Because I also have a friend at the time when my son was 14 that set the precedent, Nick. We had a gentleman, same background as my son, that had gotten himself a full paid internship at the young age of 19 in corporate America, and he wrote a book. I introduced my son to him, and he showed my son exactly what he did before my son was going to college. Now, mind you, my son graduated at 16 from high school. So at 14, he's hanging around with another good buddy of mine who's 19, who teaches him how to go after internships. He said, they're not going to teach you this in college. And he started creating people skills. And in the process of doing that, his uncle, my best friend, said, hey, let me show you how to talk to the people. Let me show you how to add value outside your skills that one day will be good for you to get promoted, fast track, and as well to potentially be able to, avoid some of the casualties of business war. Today's that day, Nick. So my son texts me, oh my goodness, I just got a text. They're laying off. And then all of a sudden, man, I survived the cut. I don't know how that happened, but I told him, just like his uncle said, hey, you have these certain sets of people skills, professionalism, overserve, overwork, not complaining, wearing the corporate environment, speaking the King's English, Nick, persistently making himself available, working extra hours, things of that nature, going to conferences that other people are highlighting, but they're not giving him any favors. And he's working through getting there early, staying late. People watch your every move, Nick. And so through that process, he allowed himself to get out of his comfort zone, move across the country, never had living outside of our house. And his superiors and their superiors watched this and say, hey, this is a young superstar in the making. But the most important part, ladies and gentlemen, Nick, very humble guy. You met my son. We hung out together. Most young men in his age, with what he has been taught and how well he's been in advance, most of them get the big head. I've been there. I would have been one of those casualties because I would have just been too much of a big head, high performer, but also cause a lot of problems because I don't take stuff from people. However, I taught my son the complete opposite. Be what it's called, walk, softly, but carry a big stick. So as we matriculate right now in this financial uncertain, environment, these 4 P's are very important because guess what? There's people, Nick, making tens of millions of dollars. You know how I know? Because we're sitting out here. We go out to the marina. Yeah, to the marina. And this young guy buys my best friend's very expensive boat, cash, for a lot of money. And this guy is only maybe like 40 years of age. In this environment, he was able to write a big check for a very expensive boat. Remember we rode on the boat on Kirk's boat? This boat, 5 times bigger, 5 times sexier. But in this environment, this guy was able to put cash on the barrelhead and buy a very expensive, great boat. I'm talking about a boat that would cost what some people houses cost. And at the same time, military background, he's telling us about stuff that's going on in the government that is going to get worse because what's happening over there as it pertains to oil. So why is this important to you, the common man and common woman? What's important is one thing we talked about. My friend was saying, he said, hey man, there's a saying in Latin, amatos something. He said, you know, hard work produces victory. So in essence, there's no excuse for what your situation is. Also, he was telling me about, he went to a store and he needed some help with some heavy, you know, rocks. And there's these three guys at this, you know, construction store, and two of the three well-bodied people, one of them supposedly disabled, and the disabled guy was the guy that ended up helping them with these heavy rocks, while the other two guys stayed around with their, you know, fingers up their nose, looking like, oh man, I can't help you. But those would be the ones, Nick, that don't write their name on the front of the check when heads roll in economies like it is and wonder, hey man, why did I lose my job? Because you didn't want to go the extra mile. You didn't want to make the extra investment, and you did not know who you could have been helping out that might be able to help you out. It's amazing how that happens. So your family or lack of family does not give you an excuse to use excuses for your lack of success, because even right now in America, you still can find financial independence. Because check this out. This young man who bought the boat, he told us he grew up in a trailer park that burned down while he was getting evicted. And he was not supposed to be successful, came from a broken family house. It would have been no different than the story of Eminem. However, he didn't grow up to be a knucklehead like Eminem. He grew up, went to the military, did 5 tours, Nick. 5 tours. And now this gentleman, hardworking, incorporating professionalism, showing the capacity to persistently follow his plan, persevere through some heartaches and some challenges. And when it was time to get the job done, he performed at the highest level without any excuses. And now he's being blessed. And he's telling us about how, in addition to he's worked hard, served his country, overcame, you know, a bad start, and now is buying foreclosed houses, flipping those houses, in addition to running other side businesses and doing very well for himself with great humility. This gentleman, the whole time, Nick, he's addressing us. Yes, sir. No, sir. How you doing, sir? Now he's purchasing from my best friend, but every bit of the way he drives 7 hours to come pick up this beautiful boat. And he's as gracious as all can be. Hey, man, I appreciate it. Man, thank you. No, sir. Introduce. Hey, nice to meet you. Yes, sir. No, sir. And I'm just like, man, why do we not see that present all the time, especially in our community? You know why? Because we want to play the victim card. Because we are brought into an environment in the family that wants to say, hey, you know what? I want to blame the powers that be for the rest of our lives. Instead of saying, you know what? How about we change our future lives by us standing in the gap right now? And how about we surround ourselves, Nick, with the right friends? And when you surround yourself with the right friends, you can change the pathology of your life. Instead of looking at, hey, everything's always bad, always try to look to make lemonade. And even more importantly, Nick, what's the most important piece is we have to get away from this instant gratification, instant glorification of I'm going to be a multimillionaire in 5 minutes, 5 months, 5 years. Because you know what? If you take good care of yourself, you serve the Most High, and you surround yourself with great people, you still can live a magnificent life, active, healthy, extravagant, amazing, if you just be integral based, hardworking, have faith, and you too can still have the American dream. You don't necessarily have to run to Africa. Now, you know, I'm big on Africa. However, I'm an American and I still love America. And I still know that financial independence and freedom, it doesn't get any better than America. It may be super great in Africa, but you know what? Man, this whole time I'm kicking it, I seen nothing but a lot of free people, because in these environments, Nick, you are who you hang around with. You attract to whom you are. We're talking to this guy. He's saying stuff that we live by principally, and we just met the guy. We're at the marina. At the marina, there's tons of very expensive boats, speedboats, etc. I didn't see any of those people in a rush, Nick, looking like they were under pressure financially. They were just cruising, having a good time, 10, 11 o'clock in the morning on a Friday, getting ready to take their boat out on the water on a beautiful sunny day. And each person I talked to, Nick, guess what? They own their own business. Guess what, Nick? A few of them were multi-generational family businesses. And most of them did not come from a trust fund, baby. You know what I said? The young man. Hey, I grew up in a trailer park that we got evicted and it burned down. So right now, if you're one of those people, 300,000 Black women who got laid off, 1,700 people in a high pressured, highly viable software company, how strong is your friendships with the right people? How strong are your core values that your family taught you? How powerful is your network that you served first 5 months ago, 12 months ago, 20 years ago, that you weren't serving them for the sake of getting something? And now, when you need to get out of jail card, Nick, they pick up the hotline and they say, hey, man, I got you. And guess what? I got you even better than what you had. But however, if you're constantly I, me, mine, I've done all of this and you ain't compensating me, and it's been taking too long for us to have success because I see social media and I see people blowing up overnight making 40, 50, $100,000 a month in 2 days and 10 million. Man, you better go do the real research. because that is all false, 98% of it. How many people have you seen up on these platforms in the last 30 days that they're saying bankruptcy, valuations that they got? They had another statement came out with the guy who does the little no verbal, the little hand move. It's like, dude, that company that supposedly gave him 975, dude, their stock is in the trash. And they showing other people. But conversely, these people who are calling the real shots, man, them people in the oil industry, the pipeline industry, them stocks are boom through the roof. So in order to create financial independence, you have to have the right family principles. And if for some reason you weren't born on third base or a trust fund, don't use that as an excuse for your failure. Use that as the fuel for the fire to get and earn success the right way. Intentionally seek the right friendships. Have a plan for how you're going to create or be part of the right network. Because right now, that is so important. And having the control of your own enterprise is even more importantly, because right now, there's constant new millionaires being created through the disruptive technology of AI, as well as the service industry. Because I look around where I am and I see nothing but new development. In the process of that new development, Nick, guess what there needs to have? Plumbers, electricians, landscapers, window guys, mechanics. They making a mint load of money. Guess what though? Oh man, that's beneath us. I haven't seen anybody where I'm at that was in a bad mood, unhappy. Everybody have smiles on their faces. Everybody got prosperity. But the other people, they got the woe is me, point the finger. Man, it's unfortunate for those people got laid off. But what was the game plan? What were you taught as your family principles on how the world really works? Who are the friends that you surround yourself? If you're the smartest, most successful person of your friendship, you need to get a new set of friends, especially if there's a huge gap in disparity of financial success, or just success from a family basis. It doesn't always have to be monetarily, but it has to be a core principles that are universal. How do you go out and network? We talked about this 2 weeks ago. Now, guess what? Each week we come up, there's something different that's happening in this world that's deeply impacting this community as opposed to the other community. There's people getting married, having massive weddings, taking amazing bucket list trips. I'm actually meeting with one of our new partners tomorrow. We're going to shoot some promotional videos. This is the tale of two cities, Nick. I think it's Charles Dickinson. I think he's the one that wrote The Tale of Two Cities. There were good times and there were bad times at the same time. And most of that, Nick, starts with the power of the mind and the power of saying, just like I said, if you came in and got a bad, hand dealt to you, and as long as you have your health and a willingness to move forward and don't shortcut the shortcut, you will be 100% successful. You can change the pathology for your family for the rest of your life and go in an upward trajectory. Or you can embitter yourself and you could be like these people who just killed that student at Old Dominion. These people who are constantly having the incel mentality and no social skills. So they're taking it out against, unarmed people, innocent people, because, oh, woe is me. So you also have that part where the family, you have people who are overprivileged. They've been pampered their entire lives. That's an American disease. But it's so important right now for real men to stand up and put roots in the ground and stop letting women raise boys into women. It's so important, Nick, for men who are with, boss babes to stop allowing themselves to be emasculated, to be in this simp mindset because they're afraid to stand for something because they don't want to, I don't want to be considered as chauvinistic, misogynist, which guess what? 9 out of 10 times they're not, because the misogynist is a person who hates women. But if you have standards and you lay the foundation, but they want to, play both sides of the table and be, hypocrites. And you all say, hey, man, what does that got to do? It got everything to do with family. Because right now in our community, 75% are run by single parents who are women. And you know what? That's an epidemic across all ethnicities and color lines in America now. Look at the numbers. Because right now, if you got laid off, can you go out the door? This, like I said, a couple of years ago, doing, I think it was 4th of July weekend or Memorial Day weekend, a young white couple came up to my house and asked me, can they power wash my driveway? I didn't like them canvassing me, but at the same time, man, I had a lot of respect that you went out there and didn't ask for handout, and you wanted to self-empower yourself, and the woman worked side by side with the guy. I bet you right now that woman and man probably running a very successful power washing, landscaping business because they were not using any excuses. Think about that. And another thing is, you are now showing your children, your sons, good, manly characteristics. Roll up your sleeves. Go get this work done. Stop playing the blame game. Maybe too, how about let's start being more, authentically ourselves. It's so funny. Everywhere we look now, man, we want to be different, but we all look the same and act the same. I mean, think about that. It's almost everywhere I look now. I hate to say it, but all of the young women who want to be different, they want to be their own individual selves, and they all look the same, man. They all talk the same. It's just, comical. So the message here is, hey, man, invest in your family. If you're a family of one, put your roots in the ground. Don't expect immediate return without making the proper investments. Understand this. It's not a sacrifice. It's an investment. Find yourself someone to be, stewardship, apprenticeship, even if it's indirectly through a book, a conference, an audio. Allow yourself to find that new pathway, that new mindset, get off the social platforms and free yourself. And once you start doing that, you're going to start attracting the right teacher, the right master, and have the capacity, Nick, to be in submission. Sub means under, mission means order. It's not subservient, which is 98% of the people get wrong. The military is a submissive organization. It has a, chart of command. Have high standards for the people you're going to call friends. Have them earn your friendship. And at the same time, you serve the right people and be intentional about how these friends you can serve and they can serve you to create a bond that cannot be broken. That's so important. And then when it's really matters, you're able to insert your network to provide you with opportunities to build financial independence, which eventually would come to, financial, wealth, but most importantly, freedom and peace are the most important rewards from that. And even when you have a hard time, Nick, those friends and that network, they'll be there to provide empathy for you when it's required, compassion when you need it, but also a stiff kick in the ass when you got a big head, or you woe is me when you're not even appreciative of the gifts that God has blessed you with. That's void in our society right now. However, there's good men, good women who are actually standing in the gap right now, and they are still building the foundation to a better world for us. And we have to start subscribing to a better mindset. And just because you're born in a family, you don't have to be of that family. If they're a bunch of, malcontents, and for lack of a better word, if they're losers. What is a loser? A loser is somebody who doesn't follow God, doesn't have respect for another man or woman, and always trying to get over, and always want it quick. A person who does not seek advice through counsel of people who are doing what you're trying to achieve that's positive, productive. Lacks discipline, lacks accountability, does not want to plug into a system and have somebody instructing them what's the right thing to do. And they definitely don't want to do any unnecessary work in their mind's eye if it's not paying instantaneous dividends right now. But they're always the first person that'll do comparative analysis. Why does she have this and I don't have this? What makes him so better than me? Because you didn't see all the work that she's been putting in behind the scenes. You didn't see the sacrifices or the investments that he made 5, 10, 15 years ago when nobody was looking. And then all of a sudden, like Dave Thomas said, the founder of Wendy's said, hey, it's amazing. People told me I got extremely lucky, but the harder and the smarter I work, it's amazing how much luckier I become. How diligently you follow your plan, and all of a sudden, God moves things in your direction because you served his purpose first. Think of that. So that hedge of protection, Nick, that my son was blessed yesterday, is because those seeds, Nick, that we planted in the ground 5, 10 years ago by teaching him how to become a young man with a great, strong work ethic. A young man to be, yes, sir, no, sir, how you doing? Thank you. I'm grateful. Oh, you need me to help you? Man, I don't need anything from you. I'm going to help, but I'm going to help the right people. And guess what? God said, hey, you know what? They're lopping off 1,700 heads, but yours won't be the one today. That's no different, Nick, when God created Passover. What did he tell the Jews? Hey, mark your door and your firstborn will be saved. It's the same thing, Nick. Family. So we teach our children and we teach our associates, our peers, and our organization to embody these 3 words. You're a winner, a leader, and a shepherd. What's a winner, Nick? A winner is a person that does the right things morally, ethically, and sound to get the W. They don't cut corners to get victories. A leader is a person who can make tough decisions, but the right ones in tough situations, because they're not interested in a popularity contest. They're not serving their interests first. They're serving the community interests first. And most of the time, Nick, they're going to get so much pushback by doing what's unpopular, but's right. But long term, those same people come back to them and they say, hey, I always say this, Nick, you go through 3 phases with people. When you're getting ready to do some new endeavor and it sounds exciting, oh man, they're excited for you. A year, maybe 2 years pass by, they really heard nothing about you and say, hey, you still doing that thing? You know that thing? And you're like, yeah, oh, okay. That's all they say. But then all of a sudden, Nick, you bounce up 5 years later and you are financially independent, you're debt free, and you're living a life of peace and joy. And all of a sudden, that same person, oh man, Nick, I knew you were going to make it. I was always your #1 fan. That's a leader, Nick. But the most important out of these 3, the winner, the leader, is the shepherd. The shepherd is the one who takes care of the less fortunate. He gathers and protects those who cannot protect themselves against the wolves. A thankless job. Very few of those are present in this world. However, you need to embody these 3 characteristics daily in your life. They're not easy. You're not going to be like Bam Adebayo, who cheats his way to 83 points in an NBA game when you're playing the Wizards, who are, like the Harlem Globetrotter General Wizards, and they're always losing. So here it is, this NBA team, the Wizards, who are literally tanking, trying to lose every game they can, playing no defense or anything. And then here it is, this guy who's in his career has averaged 16 points a game in almost 10 campaigns in the NBA, never averaged but one time, barely 20 points a season, never had a game over 41 points in his entire NBA career, never been to the free throw on average more than 4 times per game. He all of a sudden, Nick, gets fouled 43 times. That sets an NBA record to go to the foul line. He's chucking up 22 3-pointers, only makes 7 of them. And they're intentionally fouling players so that he can get more shot opportunities to break Kobe's 81-point record. But here's the real travesty and the real mockery of the NBA. The Heat were winning this basketball game. Throughout the entire game, they're up by 30, 35 points. And typically what happens when you're blowing a team out, you know what you do? You take your starters out so you don't worry about them getting hurt or anything. Well, what do? Oh, man, you know what we're going to do? We're going to insert you back in. We're going to start purposely fouling them. And then we're going to purposely set you up to take a whole bunch of these unnecessary shots so that you can get a shot at surpassing a record that almost is impossible. And now this kid puts up 83 points, never played at the University of Duke, very sharp kid, very well-mannered kid. But here's my point. How is it that you never scored at Duke University more than 30 points in a game? In high school, you never scored 80 points in a game, and you've always been known as a defensive player. This is like Rodman, Nick, scoring 83 points in a game, and he ain't on the level of Rodman. And he's not the first person that when teams are playing the Heat, they have a defensive scheme for it, because Tyler Hero is the go-to guy on the Heat. So how is it a guy of that stature, all of a sudden, he puts up 83 points in the NBA game? Now, when Kobe scored 81 points, he brought the Lakers back. They were down by like 12, 15 points in the third, fourth quarter against the Toronto Raptors, and they needed every one of them 81 points that Kobe scored to win that game by 1 or 2 points. The Heat, they beat the Wizards by almost 30 points that night. And he's the first person to score over 50 points in a game and shoot less than 50% from the floor. He shot like 43% from the floor. And you're walking around with your head up like you achieved something. Now, you think Michael Jordan, now before I say it about Michael, here's another case in point about that game. And you're saying, man, where is this going? Well, this is truly into the fact of what family do you come from? What are the friends that you keep? What is your network? Kobe, before he scored 81 points, that same year, Nick, Kobe had 70 in a game. Through 3 quarters, the Lakers were up by like 15, 20 points. They looked down the bench, say, hey, Kobe, you want to go in? You got a chance to create another record? He said, no, man, I'll save the rest of them points for the next game that we really need me. Klay Thompson used to be with the Golden State Warriors. He put up 60 in 2.5 quarters, and they set him down the rest of the game. Now, Klay Thompson is known to be the second best three-point shooter, pure shooter, next to Steph Curry. What happens if they leave Klay Thompson in, who historically shoots like 42% from the three-point line and has shot 90% at the free throw line, one of the only few guys who have shot 50% from the field, 45% from three, and 90% from the free throw line? What do you think he could have put up when he dropped 60 in 2.5 quarters? I saw that game. He was on fire, but Golden State was up by a huge margin, and they said, hey, all right, bro, great game. Let's sit down. We're going to remember that. We're not going to remember what this kid did. And here's the two ironic parts about it. You know who runs the entire Heat organization? One iconic person who that is the complete opposite of what this guy stands for. His name is Pat Riley. He wrote a book called The Winner Within, which I've read 6 times. The same Pat Riley who was the head coach of the LA Lakers during Showtime. The same Pat Riley who enforced the New York Knicks to be a rough, tough defensive team that Charles Oakley played for. Patrick Ewing played for. Mark Jackson played for. Xavier Daniel, Mahorn. These are the same cats, Nick. If you would have purposely been trying to run up the score on them, they would have literally knocked your teeth out of your mouth. Isn't it ironic that Pat Riley, who has a stature, talks about discipline, the old school way about character and leadership? He allowed this kid to make a mockery of the NBA game. So when you think about today, what does my family stand for? Who are my friends? What is my network? Because when everything's going great, hey man, you good. But God says, hey man, the true test of a man's character is how he handles adversity. So that guy, Bam, great stand-up kid, never been in trouble, but he has put shame on his name, and he's sitting up there. He turn around, he does the 83 points on a piece of paper like Wilt did, like Kobe did, and he turns around and badmouths Dwayne Wade, who is the #1 Heat player in the history of the franchise. And he won't even be on the Mount Rushmore even remotely for the Heat, but he'll be known in infamy that he scored 83 points by shamming and doing unethical practices to get these points, and even the refs themselves should be punished for this travesty. But understand this. Don't think that everything that you have that you did not earn can go away just like that. And if you happen to be in a family that doesn't represent anything worth being part of, then man up and separate yourself from them and create a new model. If you're hanging around your homeboys that you grew up in the hood and you're breaking out and they trying to, clown you because you speak the King's English and because you work hard, you know what? Fire them. And then when you invest in the right network and something happens like 1,700 layoffs unpredictably happens, and you're still standing because you made a lot of the right moves, you came from a right family environment, you surrounded yourself with the right friends, and you made investments in the past that yield to the future, you will be successful, but more importantly, you're on the pathway to significance. And then one day you can look up and have a 31-year relationship, a 20-year relationship, a 15-year relationship, that you'll have somebody to have your back true and true. And you really can say, well, not even you. The most important thing is allow people to be the trumpet player for you, to toot your horn and say, that person is a winner. That person is a leader. That person is a shepherd. And maybe on that board, when they decided to do these massive layoffs to make massive profit, there's only 2 reasons why companies lay people off in the world. One, they're having bad business all around, so they got to let people go. But 2, Nick, is the dirty little secret. When they're making massive profits, they get greedy for their shareholders and they cut heads to make more money for corporate CEO bonuses and things of that nature. But if you want to be guarded and protected and have a moat around that not happen to you, and when they pull out the board and say, hey, who we letting go? That's based on who you were raised to be when you were like 10, 11, 12 years old. And then when you get the opportunity to invest and serve somebody and you don't see any, immediate returns, guess what? It just happened yesterday. It literally just happened today. And ask your question. Who are you serving? Who are your friends that are solid, God-fearing, or who are your friends or knuckleheads that you need to cut loose just because you grew up with them and they trying to, hey man, but I remember I was there when we got into a fight and a scuffle with some people and I helped you whoop that butt and blah, 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 but they still doing dumb stuff. But you don't have the balls to say, hey man, you need to change your ways. I ain't supposed to be your friend for life, baby. So at the end of the day, man, family. We do not choose the family we're born into, but we choose the one that we in life with. The friends, man, be highly discriminating, high character. But you know what happens on these platforms? We always talking about value. No, man, be high character. Build networks where you have a servanthood mindset to serve the right people for the right reasons. And that network will always serve you, and you will have a net worth that's godly, that you can sleep at night with peace, and the freedom you earn may not take 2 years, 5 years. It may take 10, may take 15. But guess what, baby? If you got your health, like we started at the beginning of the show, you will always have peace. And the sky's the limit, Nick. I'm excited because the best thing that can ever happen to a man that has children is that when he gets to the pearly gates, they got to pass right through. The worst thing that can happen to a man is that not he goes to hell, but his children go to hell because the examples that he led that led them down the wrong pathway. Just that simple. You're watching Family Finance Friday. Friday 13th is Good Friday, baby. It's not bad Friday. It's Good Friday. So we pray and hope that you take some of these nuggets. And if they sting in you, guess what? You need them the most. And if every time you talking to somebody and you always, yeah, but you got a problem. When you too smart and you know everything and you smart, then just go be by yourself. Because that program, it don't give you peace. So like, subscribe, share this with 5 people who need it. And most importantly, take notes. And what you should do a checkup from the neck up. And if things are going so tremendously well for you, I would encourage you, I would implore you to drop to your knees and thank God and the Most High for everything that you got. Because you too can be collateral damage if you don't have the right mindset, the right family, the right friends, and definitely not the right network. And the last thing, Nick, I'm talking to myself. Get AI trained, because AI is eating up everybody. But most importantly, Nick, AI don't know everything, and there's always people that they need to run AI. And you can be one of those people if you're wise enough to invest in the future so that you don't have to need it when you need it. The great philosopher Denzel Washington said, an American gangster, do what you have to do so you can do what you want to do. On behalf of Nick Westbrooks, I'm DJ the Money Coach. You're watching Family Finance Friday on Friday, Good 13th. And we pray that you too have a pom-pom lifestyle. That's plenty of money and peace of mind. Come join us on the Beaches of the World Club here and in Zanzibar. And we'll see you next time.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a special announcement. Thanks to Chicago's very own DJ the Money Coach, we're celebrating the sponsorship for Ask a Brother podcast and the grand opening of our luxurious resort in Zanzibar, Tanzania. DJ's giving away an incredible grand prize in March, a 7-day, 6-night stay in paradise, complete with ground transportation, incredible excursions, your own personal chef on the white sand beaches, and breathtaking sunsets. All you have to do is text BROTHER BROTHA, to 972-640-9572, or scan the QR code for your chance to win. Pack your bags and we will see you in paradise. Again, text BROTHA, BROTHA, to 972-640-9572. Coach Britt here, coming at you here from beautiful Paje, Zanzibar. So we've got some exciting news coming for you guys. I want you to join me out here for some amazing fitness and wellness retreats. This is going to be an experience of a lifetime. You're going to have the opportunity to come out here, experience the beauty of this area. And I'm going to introduce you right now to the man who's behind it all right here. This is DJ, the Money Coach. He is the owner of Pom Pom Suites.
So thank you, Brittany. Won't you guys come join us for 7 days, 6 nights as we partner with the amazing Coach Rodriguez in paradise. I'll see you on the beaches of the World Club right here in Zanzibar.
Out everything. We're going to give you a master training, 3-hour course, 2 consultations. We're going to teach you how to build credit up to $100,000 interest-free for 18 months. Pay off your home in 7 to 10 years. And most importantly, $8,333 a month. Passive income. It's a $997 course. You get it all today for $97. Hit that link